Hello everybody, this is Coding Procedures with Pedro Paulo. The purpose of this channel is to explain to you, only to you, step by step, how to understand the body of the report and how to be the best coder that you can be. Today, we're going to talk about fusion, anterior and posterior. Let's read the report, step by step, slowly, so you can understand the body of the report, which is the purpose of this channel. Okay, patient was taken to the OR and the procedure started after general anesthesia. Okay, the patient was turn prone, very important. At this point, you know that the patient is facing down, so the approach is gonna be from the back. Two things we need to keep in mind: approach and rule operation. We already have the approach. Okay, the procedure started with a blade that was used to make a linear incision all the way to the fascia. All right, so as they make a linear incision right here all the way to the fascia, we already know that the procedure is open. This is an open procedure. All right, now we keep reading and we see that all the screws were bilateral and lumbar 4, lumbar 5, and lumbar 5 sacral 1. Okay, this screw, let me clarify something here. This fixation is to stabilize the spinal cord. They had to put the vertebra and the spinal cord back to its original position to do the procedure, you know? So that's the purpose of this fixation. All right, we keep reading. They checked the next, the film was obtained, so they checked the screw and the compression was begun. Okay, the spinal process was removed. Okay, this is important. The spinal process, they say the spinal process was removed and bone morselized for later use. Okay, this is a graft. This is an autograft. This is the spinal process that was taken from the patient. Let me clarify something here at this point. If they make an incision in a different body part, in different side, different place of the body, then you call the harvesting. In this case, they harvested a piece of bone, which is the spinal process, from the spinal cord, the same side or same body part of the operation. You don't call harvesting in this case, all right? If they go to the iliac crest and they take a piece of bone right there and they use it as a graft in the spinal cord or in the fusion or any procedure, then in this procedure, for example, then you have to call the harvesting of the incision or excision that they perform, taking a piece of bone from the iliac crest. But it doesn't apply to this procedure specifically. They just took a piece of bone from the vertebra, which is the spinal process. All right, so this is autograft. We continue. Laminectomy and transforaminal approach. All this, you don't have to call laminectomy. This is approach. They're trying to get to the level, to the joint level of the spinal to perform the procedure. So you keep reading. The approach and then complete the drilling in the inferior fossa to the right. They access the right. They clear the nerve root. They protected it. So they keep going, and then they got to the disc space. You see where they want to get. Where lumbar 5 sacral 1, lumbosacral. This is where they want to do the procedure, the first procedure. Okay, then they use a blade. A blade was used to incise the disc and remove the superficial portion. So up to here, we know that they're gonna do a discectomy, resection or excision. It depends. If it is removed completely, resection. If it's removed a portion of a disc, you call it to excision. All right. Okay, let's keep reading to the next slide. Okay, we are here in the next slide. So on the fluoro, they removed, if you read here, they removed the disc on the fluoro guidance, they removed the disc with different sizes of chambers, different sizes of chambers. So the whole disc was removed in this case. Now attention was then turned to the X-ray, so they checked the size of the disc. Why? Because they're gonna place a cage, an interbody fusion device. A cage is an interbody fusion device. Now we can read it. If we continue reading, we can see that the expandable cage was prepared with a combination of autograft. So the autograft is the spinal process, the piece of bone that they took from the vertebrae when the procedure started. And then they use the DMB, or the demineralized bone matrix autograft. So they're using autograft and allograft. They mix it together and brought it into the field. So they're using autograft, allograft for the insertion of the cage. They mix it and they insert it in the disc with the cage, which is an interbody fusion device. So if you keep reading, when the cage was ready, it was placed into the lumbar 5, sacral 1, disc space. So back to the same. They mix the allograft with the autograft, which is from the same patient, and they inserted it and placed it into the disc space, lumbar 5 and sacral 1. So this is a posterior-anterior insertion of the device. So the interbody fusion device, it was anterior on the spinal cord. This is a fusion already, okay? They fused the vertebra. Now, the X-ray was obtained and confirmed satisfactory placement. The area was irrigated, and then they used antibiotic and all the things. All right, up to here, we have a fusion, posterior approach, anterior insertion of the interbody fusion device. So posterior-anterior fusion with autograft and allograft. They're both included in the cage. You don't need a separate code for the graft. Why? Because there is a PCS guideline, ICD-10 PCS guideline, saying that the graft are included in the cage. You don't need them when the interbody fusion device is inserted. So we're good so far. Now, this is important. There is another procedure done here posteriorly. This is anterior. We just read the anterior procedure. Now we're gonna read the posterior procedure. Both fusion, both approaches posterior, but this is posterior-posterior. Why? Because let's read it. Then the joints were decorticated using the drill, and then the remaining allograft, right here, the remaining allograft. Remember that the spinal process was removed as an autograft from the same patient, and then allograft from the bone bank. They mix them together for a graft. So this is the posterolateral. This is posterior. In this case, they're using autograft, allograft, and autograft in the posterior. This is a different fusion. This is a fusion posterior-posterior. So you don't use the allograft, just the autograft. This is another guideline that we should know when they do fusion. So the remaining autograft and allograft were placed into the posterolateral girdle between lumbar 5, lumbar 4, lumbar 5. This is one joint level, one joint. And lumbar sacral, lumbar 5 sacral, one joint. You have two joints here, 3 vertebrae, but 2 joints. Okay, so this is another fusion. Posterior-posterior, autograft with autologous tissue, posteriorly 2 joints. And then they close, they use the vancomycin, and then they left a drain in place, and the procedure is over here. Okay, here at the code, we have the fusion for the posterior-anterior lumbosacral, which is lumbar 5 sacral 1. They inserted the device, the cage, and it was an open approach. We also had the diskectomy. It was at the same level. Lumbar 5 sacral 1. It was a resection. Why a resection? Because they removed the whole disc. If it's a portion of the disc, then you call the root operation to excision. The root operation, in this case, resection, because they removed the whole body part. Now, okay, the other two codes, remember that they did a posterior-posterior fusion on the lumbar 4, lumbar 5, and lumbar 5 sacral one. Okay, when they use autograft or autologous tissue and non-autologous tissue, the non-autologous tissue, which is the allograft, is included in the autologous tissue. You don't need both. Just using the autologous tissue, the fusion with the autologous tissue is all you need. And also keep in mind that when they're using the body fusion device, like a cage, autologous and non-autologous tissues are included, so you don't need to code it. So here we have the posterior-posterior with autologous for the lumbar 4, lumbar 5, and posterior-posterior with autologous, lumbosacral, lumbar 5, sacral 1. Now, put a note here, something that happened in the joint level, lumbar 5, sacral 1, it was a 360-degree fusion. Why? Because when fusion is done using posterior approach on the posterior column and on the anterior column at the same joint level, two codes should be reported to represent each of the distinct qualifiers. So at the lumbar sacrum, at the lumbar 5 sacral 1, they did the fusion posterior and anterior. It's clearly documented in the report. So that's it for this procedure. I'm gonna be posting more procedures, all fusions so far, also cabbages, coronary artery bypass graft, angioplasties, stents, all type of procedure, angiograms, everything, to teach you and to help you to be a good coder or the best coder that you can be. If you want to see more, simple, just subscribe, and I see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching my video.